Welcome to Rise with Rena.
Hello, hello, hello. Oh my God, this is bright. Okay, well, that's not going to work. Let's fix it. Whoa. A little better. Still white out. Okay, here we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the world's famous workshop, How to Get Everything You Want this year. And I am your host, Rena McDoom, and we are going live everywhere. Let's see. Your browser has blocked your screen. What has blocked my screen? Huh. All right, let me just make sure that we are doing what I think we're doing. And let's see. What are we doing? Are we live? All right. Well, we're going to assume it works. If not, we're recording. So my name is Rena McDoom, and this is How to Get Everything You Want in 2026. I'm hoping, I'm not for sure, that we will have a special guest with us later in the show. But for right now, it's you and me. So let me tell you, I have achieved a lot of success, and 90% of the success we all achieve, the 90% of the success that you will achieve is going to be mental. So first, let me tell you what not to do. My very first presentation as an electrical engineer, I had to present a 12x6 curtain array and the switching diagram for this 12x6 curtain array. So 12x6 is 72 switches. I had memorized all the switching combinations. I actually came back from vacation early because it was my very first presentation, 20 years old, as an electrical engineer in front of all 3 engineering divisions, including the director of engineering. And all I wanted to do was make an impression on the director of engineering. That was my only goal. I'm going to make an impression on the director of engineering. I'm going to make an impression. The director of engineering is going to know me. The director of engineering is going to remember me. And that's all I could think. Well, needless to say, my first presentation, not a public speaker, engineer, introvert. I basically didn't sleep all night because I kept thinking about what I was going to say. I had 6 view graphs. So 6 slides, and kept going through them on my head, how I would do the beam steering, how the beam went up and down, how it went side to side, everything you had to know about the antenna, right? And I was, let's make sure the mic is working because I don't see the mic little signy going. Let's see, mic, no, not mute. All right, well, we're going to go with the mic. So the time comes for the presentation. It's 6 a.m. I wake up. I've got a headache. I haven't slept all night. I've worried myself sick. And all I can think of is making an impression on the director of engineering. Then get to work. The presentation started. I was the last engineer to go. So I'm sitting in this room full of about, 70 engineers, different departments, divisions, director of engineering, front and center, and I'm waiting for my turn to present. And so finally, as the last peon engineer, fresh out of school, I get up there, and by this time, the ViewGraph projector is super hot. And all I'm thinking is, I want to make an impression on the director of engineering. He's going to know who I am. I'm a little engineer. I want to get known. I want to get known. I'm going to make an impression on the director of engineering. Well, I start putting on my ViewGraphs. And by this time, I am sick. I've got a tension headache. My shoulders hurt. And I'm public speaking, which, again, I'm already nervous about. So I get on there and I start my ViewGraphs. And at one point, I looked back behind the screen because remember, there's a projector. You put the slides on it. It's hot. The fan's on, and it projects it behind you onto the screen. Well, I had somehow let a little bit of saliva out of my mouth, and they were on my ViewGraphs. But now it's magnified and projected behind me. So the entire engineering division, if you've ever seen spit under a microscope, yeah, that's what it was. So we've got spit going on under a microscope. Everybody's watching, and the fan is hot and it's on. So it's bubbling and moving across my switching diagrams. I was mortified. I froze. I didn't even have the sense to switch to the next ViewGraph. So I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot all my switches, everything that I had studied so hard. And I did make an impression on the director of engineering. So when you have a strong intention, a lot of times it comes through. However, we all go through life with these really good, strong intentions that don't actually serve us. Okay. I didn't want to make an impression on the director of engineering. I wanted to make a good, positive impression on what a good engineer I was. Okay. That's what I actually wanted to do. Not just like sit and mess up so bad that they remember me for that. It was so bad that even as everyone left the room and I was the last person there because I had just finished, one of the engineers came up and she told me, you were shaking so much that when you use a pen, don't point to things on the ViewGraph projector, point to them on the screen, because apparently on top of the spit incident, I was pointing to the different switching diagrams with a pen on the screen, and behind me, it was going that bad. So that was my first public speaking, and I kind of decided it wasn't for me. And, standing out was not for me. Shining bright was not for me. Every time I tried to do something, things would go wrong. So I kind of shied away from being in the spotlight. I really, really did. Now, I am going to tell you how to do it right, because since then I have done a million things and become very, very successful. And 90% of my business success was mental. So my very first, well, actually, let me tell you a success story, and then I'll tell you all the tips and tricks. The success story is I had a girl that was Karen, who was wanting to move up to the top 1% of the company. So I had a girl, she was going to be in the top 1% of the company. And I really appreciated her because she was one of the people that actually listened. So when you have large teams and you're managing large teams, it's really fun working with large teams, but a lot of people don't listen. Yeah, they just don't listen. So it's frustrating because we're trying to teach them something and they do the exact opposite of what we're telling them. So this girl, Karen, actually listened. So she had the last month of qualification for a huge promotion, and it was June. I think it was June of 2005. And she was like, should I be worried? Here's my numbers. Here's how many people I have. She had to build a strong team of over 30 people. She had to hit certain sales targets. It was the most she had ever done. It was not the most I had ever done, but it was the most, it was a big deal to her. And I had to walk in her shoes with her. So I said, listen, why don't you do this? You do the work and I'll do the worrying. And I'll tell you when it's time to worry. So 5th of June, we're going along, things are trudging along. It's going well. And so Karen said, "Hey, should I start worrying yet?" And I said, "Nope, nope, not time to worry. Keep working." So she kept working. 15th of June, halfway through the month. Again, we had this conversation. I said, "Remember, I'm going to do the emotional management. You're going to do the work." So she was like, should I get nervous now? I said, "No, no, we got a ton of time." The numbers didn't look good. Y- She had a lot of production to do. And I also knew one thing that I really respected about Karen. A lot of people buy positions when they can, and she had to earn it because she did not have the ability to buy it. And I knew that for her, it was do it the right way. And I really appreciate it when there are honor systems and people do it the right way because it makes them stronger, right? I did it the right way. It made me stronger. A lot of people at the end, they'll sign up, their mom, their sister, just basically placeholders to get their numbers and stuff like that. And I had a friend that actually, when I was in up for the promotion, say, "Hey, I'll sign up, just to help you out." And I said, "No, I told her thank you the next day, but I said, no, I'd rather have my self respect that I did it because if you have someone like that ends up helping you out, then they always know that." You needed a crutch, and you know that you needed a crutch. And that mental thing about, I needed a crutch to finish this, is too much. So it's much better to do the work and do the growth, which is sometimes a struggle for people, right? Than to do it halfway. So it ends up being the 30th of the month. Karen needed $4,000 that day. It was a lot of money now. It's a lot of money in 2025. So she needed her team to order $4,000 as the most she'd ever had to do. And usually she could do that in a month, but now she had to do it in a day. And so she called me 7 a.m. on June 30th. I'm not a morning person. And she was like, "Should I worry?" And I said, "No, no, not time to worry yet." And numbers were still not looking good. She maybe got, a couple $100 in orders by noon. And she called me up again and she's like, "Is it time to worry?" And I was like, "No, no, no time to worry." And so we kept kind of going back and forth. Hang on. We have our guest. Yeah, okay. Um, Let me see. Okay, I sent you link in Facebook Messenger. Okay. Okay. So, Karen asked me, now should I worry? No. 5 o'clock comes and goes. Again, I mean, she's calling me, and I really appreciated it that she left the emotional management to me for this big goal, and especially on the last day. So, should I worry? I said, "No, not time to worry yet, Karen, not time to worry." Um, Unfortunately, we had an emergency with my in-laws that night, and I had to go to my sister-in-law's house instead of work on my business goals. But that's part of the reason we have businesses, right? That we can call our own shots and do what we need to do. I was at my sister-in-law's house, and we had one last girl. That was our only chance of getting this order so that Karen could finish out her month. And I kept saying, have you been able to get in touch with Shannon? Have you been able to get in touch with Shannon? And we couldn't quite get in touch with Shannon, but finally, I was at my sister-in-law's house. I was like, "Okay, here's what you do. Here's what you say. If you get, if Shannon calls, this is what you need to do." And Karen was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. I've never done this before. You were going to help me." And I was like, "Sorry, family emergency." Karen called back. I think it was like 9 p.m. that night. And at that point, we still needed $3,000. And I was going to tell her, "Hey, it's time to worry," right? And she called, and just before I was going to say, okay, we can worry now, she said, it's done. So at 9 p.m., when you keep the faith all month long, when we don't worry, because worry is just making what you don't want to come true happen, because you're sending energy to things you don't want to happen. But at 9 p.m., when all this worry went down, that's when the miracle finally happened. And this girl came in, and she came in with a huge $2,500 order. And then Karen's aunt decided she wanted to order. And next thing she knew, it was a done deal. And we never looked back. When we are doing a big goal, here's what I have to tell you. Like, don't worry about what can go wrong. As a child, I was always taught worry about what would go wrong. If you look at all the child rearing books, the popular ones in the 60s and 70s, a lot of us, that were young back then, 60s, 70s, 80s, well, they were based on post-war Germany. And Germany's whole thing was, be strict with kids and break them. And when you break these kids, that's how they discipline. That's how you discipline them. You break their spirit and make sure they're disciplined. Kids are seen but not heard. They have to be polite. They have to be this and that. And, I also look at the gentle parenting trends now. I think there's something in the middle that kind of works. Not where the child, gets free reign all the time, and then not where you totally control the child's spirit. But we were taught how to be controlled, and that our dreams weren't worth it. And, a lot of us, I was called stupid when I was young. I was told by teachers over and over that I had poor penmanship, that I didn't write well. There was so much feedback that I got, in school, from parents, from society, that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't right. The way I did things was just not okay. And so that made me a person that was anxious. That made me a person that worried. That made me someone that questioned myself, that didn't have confidence in myself. And I was so blessed that in my 20s, I was able to start a business. And our second meeting, yeah, ever, they taught me how to set goals. Now, I just want to say that a goal is a dream that you write down. Okay, that's all a goal is. And in business, I learned to dream again. As a kid, I had all these little girl dreams, but then you have to get realistic, and you go to high school and college, and it's all about test scores and rankings and quizzes and exams. But then I had to learn to dream again. And as a little girl, I got all my little girl dreams back. And I was going to have, get this, a white brick house on a hill with a circular driveway and a fountain in the middle. I mean, I had all these like crazy dreams. We couldn't even afford a condo or a townhouse at that point, but I was going to have this huge acreage and this big old house and all these crazy things. And the funny part of it is, with the technique I'm about to share with you, that's where I have been now. Yeah, that's where I've lived now for over 30 years, in a white brick house on the hill with a circular driveway. And I did have a fountain in it until the kids knocked it over with their go-karts. But yeah, probably time to get another fountain and redo that. So what you want can really happen. And this technique I learned at my very second business meeting, and I have used it every year since. And I will tell you, miraculous stuff has happened in my life. And now when I go through tough times, or when I'm speaking or teaching clients, I remind them that what goes on in these 6 inches is going to control the outcome. So if you're having a bad day, and something is going really wrong, all you got to do is visualize an outcome that this is for the best. Maybe this is the pivot, that plot twist that you need in your life for it to become the best. So, let me tell you a couple of plot twists that happened in my life. So, there was this real estate agent named Cam Templeton. I like to call her Scam Templeton. We were supposed to purchase a lot from her to build our second home on. So, not this house that I live in, but another house. And she thought that she was going to get full commission. But when she found out we had a real estate agent, her tune certainly changed. And she, within one day, okay, this lot went up $15,000. So that was kind of her, no, we're not going to sell it to you, right? Unless you pay me the commission on top of the price. And so $15,000 was a lot for this lot. And I really wanted this lot. And I had sold myself on the concept, like the house on the lot, the location, the design, like I had it all so good in my head. But then, Cam changes her mind overnight. And so we were like, hey, can we talk to the builder? And the builder's like, whatever our real estate agent says, you got to do. So basically, she wanted not only her commission that she thought she should get, but double commission to kind of punish us for not using her as both the selling and buying agent, which put us in a situation where we had to go find another lot. And we did find another lot. It was $10,000 more than the other lot, but still less, 5,000 less than what she was charging us. So we went ahead and purchased that lot. Okay. So fast forward 20 years, the house is built. We built it for my in-laws. My in-laws lived in there rent free for 20 years. Looking back, that plot twist, best thing that ever happened. Best thing. Because the lot that her builder, okay. Oh, I'm going to add Lisa to the stage. All right, Lisa's coming in. I'm going to finish up this story. Lisa, welcome. How you doing, cutie pie?
I'm just rolling out of bed, girlfriend.
I hear you. Hang on. Let me see if I can undo it. Let's see.
Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
If you can, thumb down if you can't. Thumb up. Okay. So the lot that this real estate agent, Cam, was going to sell us, the builder had made these makeshift canals there, right? Off the river. And these canals had stagnant water. So that whole neighborhood had massive mosquito problems because it was near the river. And they had basically created a swamp in the backyard of all these houses. The lot we got was only 2 houses from the river. It had its own boat dock. It was a much bigger lot. We got a much bigger house on it, and we didn't have to deal with her. Plus, this neighborhood was way more private, so there was less theft and less traffic. So overall, yes, it looked like, she had really messed us up. But at the end, that plot twist really helped out. So before I tell this technique, I am going to introduce the fabulous Lisa Taylor. Lisa is a huge, successful businesswoman, boss mom like me. Between the two of us, we have 8 kids. So I have 4 kids, and she has 4 kids. And anyways, so life is good, but please welcome Lisa Taylor to the stage. Yay!
Oh my gosh. Hello, Rena. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There, I can hear you now too.
Okay. So, Lisa, we're talking about goal setting, and I haven't told them how I got all my success, but why don't you tell them your sweepstake winner story, and then I'm going to tell them how to get your goals, like what the science behind it is, and then we can kind of riff off of each other and tell some of the successes, the crazy stories that have happened with our goals.
So my sweepstakes story is one that it's a mindset that I didn't even realize I was implementing. I just made a decision one day as I was playing the really fun Monopoly game that is the fun Monopoly game from Albertsons. So Albertsons has a little Monopoly game. Every time you go shopping, you would get a Monopoly piece. So the goal for Albertsons was shop more and get more chances to win. I had the game board and sat down towards the end of the game, had a big stack of these little squares, and decided to go through all of them, and I was going to match them on this board. And I decided as I was undoing each one that I would say to myself, I am a sweepstakes winner. I am a sweepstakes winner. I am a sweepstakes winner. And I kept going through all of them, and got to the end. And I was so shocked that I was not a sweepstakes winner. I had not won the sweepstakes because I just decided, like in my head, I was going to win this Monopoly sweepstakes. And it was just so odd to me because I can't tell you, there was like a feeling that came along with me saying in my head, I am a sweepstakes winner every time I was opening them. So fast forward about a week, and my family and I went to Disneyland. Now, I have grown children at this point, and my husband was working up in Northern California. I am from Southern California. So going to Disneyland is something I love to do. And we decided that we were going to connect at the Disneyland all-night event. So 2 of my kids, one was with me. The other one was driving down also from Northern California. My husband was driving down from the San Francisco area. And it was like, I went to Disneyland, I left and came home, went to Disneyland. It was an all-nighter at Disneyland. But at the end of the night, or the next morning, we all decided, there were 4 of us, that we were going to go have breakfast and come back to Disneyland. Just had it in our heads that was what we were going to do. And as we came walking back into Disneyland, it was the first day of the 60th anniversary of Disney. And as you walked in, there was a big sign that said, text this word to enter the Disney sweepstakes. Now, I still was not thinking sweepstakes because I was a Monopoly sweepstakes winner. And text the word and get off a ride about an hour and a half later to discover I had received a text message from Disneyland that I was the sweepstakes winner for the very first day of the Disneyland 60th anniversary. And I had to run and find out what I won. I had to go to City Hall, and we had won a custom tour guide. These are like, I don't know, $300-$400 an hour tours. I had him all day for like 8 hours. I was able to get like front of the line. He would take us to the front of the line, and we got food vouchers. We could get dinner or lunch anywhere we wanted. We got VIP seating in either the new parade, the World of Color, or whatever. So it was this huge sweepstakes package. And Lisa Taylor, sweepstakes winner, was the #1 winner on the sweepstakes on the very first day, because I'm a sweepstakes winner, only then to discover shortly after that an email that I get from Albertsons that I was in the secondary drawing for the sweepstakes and received this huge, it's like a 90-inch television because I was a sweepstakes winner in the Albertsons Monopoly game as well. Sweepstakes winner.
Yeah. So all you got to do is, it's the mindset, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, with the emotion. So what I learned at my very second business meeting, was they said, listen, you get a bunch of magazines. So this will tell you how old this is. You get a bunch of magazines, you get some glue and some scissors. You go through the magazines page by page and you find pictures, because back then, without the internet, that was the only way to do it. You find pictures of the stuff you want and you stick them on a big poster board. And that's your goal poster. And that's why you're working your business. So you can have your goals, these dreams. You cut all the pictures of them, you put them on the poster board, and 80% of what you put on there will come true. I thought this was the biggest crock of hooey I have ever heard, right? 80%. You go get a magazine, all right? Cut out these ridiculous pictures and stick them on a board. Just look at it, and 80% of what you cut out is going to come true. So I decided that's probably not going to happen. Lisa, do you want to jump in?
I just want to interject in for 1 second, because when I started this business, I feel like I've had multiple businesses, but when I started my skincare makeup business, I had never heard of goal posters.
No,
which I hear a lot of people call them dream boards now, vision boards. I learned how to do that in Mary Kay. And I was the husband, my third best and last husband, Ken, who I have now. He went to as my boyfriend, went to a dinner. He went to a leader dinner with me. And at the end of the night, that was the one thing he remembered, was hearing people talk about a goal poster. So together, he said, let's make our own. Let's make our own. And I said, okay. So we did the cutting out of magazines, just like you're describing. And we put this goal poster together and we put it in a place. He had just moved in with me. And so we put it in a place on our wall where we would see it. Like if we sat up in bed, we could see it. If we walked over to the bathroom, we could see it. It was in our eyesight constantly. At the end of the year, not 80%, but 100% of the things on that goal poster had been achieved. So I just wanted to say, when you said 80%, I'd never heard that before, but we literally had 100%. He was so shocked. I mean, because it almost feels like magic, right?
Yeah, it does feel like magic. It's like, what the heck just happened? So I put all this stuff on. Now understand, we are, newly married, no money, broke, no joke, can't buy a Coke, right? Living in a rented condo. And we were talking about building our dream house. And like I said earlier in the broadcast, so I was going to have a white brick house on a hill. Okay. On a hill with a circular driveway and a fountain in front of it. And, we're trying to buy a townhouse, which is about 1/3 the price. And we can't even afford that on 2 engineering salaries. But luckily, at this point, the business is kicking in. So even though I was not making a lot of money initially, okay, my goal was to make enough money to make $50 every other week. That was my goal. So I could have a maid clean my house back then. And remember, this is 35 years ago. So $50 a week to have a maid clean my house, because my husband back then, we were always fighting, and he was like, we don't need a maid. They take your money. They're this, they're that. They don't do a good job. And I was like, you know what? One day I realized he don't need a maid. He got me. I need a maid. So I want to make maid money out of the business. But then the business kind of took off. I was super bad at sales. I couldn't sell water in the desert. I had learned some skills. And so I'm making $200 here, $300 here, not a lot of money, $75 here, but it adds up. Okay. All these little parts add up, and I'm making, and so now we can afford a little more because all the incidentals and the pop-ups my business is covering. So I decide that I'm going to make a goal poster for this house. And I'm going to tell you, this one is actually 30 years old, and I know it's seen better days, but this was my actual goal poster, and you can see a lot of it's missing, but it's been beaten up. I was going to have this wardrobe, you see this house here that I was going to get, all the things that I wanted on this goal poster. Now, like Lisa did, we had a all glass shower back then. So the shower was enclosed in glass. So what I did was I taped it to the outside of the shower. So every time you were in the shower, in the morning, I would just look at it, and I'm shampooing my hair and, shaving my legs and doing whatever else you're doing in the shower. But there was right in front of my face, the goal poster of what I wanted. And I would just kind of look at it and go, oh my God, it'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. And believe it or not, within 2 years, we found out what stick building was. We were able to purchase this lot, which is 5.5 acres in a really expensive county, in our 20s, and stick build a house. And I got my dream house in my 20s. And so many people now, they teach goal posters and vision boards. They're like, put the house of your dream on there. I'm like, well, I already live in it. I've lived in it so long. I don't even have a dream house anymore. Like, this is my dream house, right? Everything is perfect about this house because we built it. I picked out everything. I picked out the size. I picked out, everything about it. So, and it was from that dang goal poster. And in 2 years, we went from barely affording to live in a rented condo to building a dream house on 5.5 acres, 7,000 square feet, like nuts. But that's the power of what they can do. So Lisa, I know you have another story with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that.
So,
Girl, can you move your camera down so your head's kind of near the top? Then we'll be same headed. So we see more of you. Let me see. Where's your camera? Tilt it forward. Yeah, like that. Okay, there we go.
Better?
Yeah.
So my oldest daughter is, from a very young age, very positive, very forward thinking. I'm talking going back to 6 years old, right? And I come from a beauty pageant world background. My daughters all competed in pageants. I was a pageant coach for years. And when she was very young, she actually was competing all over the country and was very successful and was, she won many, many pageants, many titles. And always, I was so amazed because judges would make a point to come and speak to me after the pageant and just let me know how impressed they were with her. These were pageants that almost always included interview. So even at a very young age of like 6 years old, they would say like, oh my gosh, she is going to grow up and be Miss America. Now, she would quickly respond with, no, I'm not going to be Miss America. I'm going to be Miss USA. I want to be Miss USA. I'm Miss USA. And they would ask her, why Miss USA? And she would say, because Miss USA is going to become Miss Universe. So all her life, I heard this. Fast forward to a bit later, and she actually was Miss Orange County Teen USA. And a few years later, she had not achieved Miss USA, but she had aged out. She could no longer compete. And I think it's amazing. They have changed the age limit now. There's so many girls still with the chance to achieve their dream. But she got hired. She went and did an interview, and got hired and became the executive assistant to the producer of the Miss Universe pageant and flew out to Las Vegas. It was so funny because I remember telling her, pack your pageant wardrobe. And when I say pageant wardrobe, I don't mean her pageant gown. I mean just the attire that you would wear at the pageant, walking around, coming into the hotel and the restaurants, whatever, interview, all those things. She was like, Mom, I am not competing. I don't need all that stuff. She gets there. She's like, send me my wardrobe. And it was so interesting because everybody there thought she was actually a contestant. And when it got to the very end, almost the day before they actually televised the finals, they do a run through. They do a run through on stage as if it is the actual night of awarding the title holder the crown. So Bret Michaels, who was emceeing that year, was on stage doing the run through. Everybody was mic'd. They start announcing the, fourth runner-up, third runner-up, second runner-up, first runner-up. And it is bad luck to actually crown an actual real contestant. So they grab my daughter and they tell her to like stand in. Now, I don't know any of these things are going on. I'm not in Las Vegas, but I get a call from my daughter and she is crying. She's in tears. I thought something bad had happened. Like I didn't know what was going on. She was so emotional. And she explained to me that they announced her, and she has this on tape, a tape that they gave her. They announced her Miss Universe. Whatever that year was, it was Miss Universe, is Jessica Taylor. And she was crowned. They literally put the sash on her, handed her the flowers, put the real crown on her head. And she was standing there in her glory, in the spotlight, in her moment, being crowned Miss Universe. And Bret Michaels says to her, Jessica, you just won Miss Universe. Like, how do you feel? And she's like, we did it. And she says she could hear this lady in the sound booth say, does this chick realize like she didn't really win Miss Universe? But in that moment, she did, in her head, in her heart, in her soul, all the feels of a manifestation of something she had been saying.
Yeah, she actually got crowned Miss Universe.
She was crowned Miss Universe, 100%.
Yeah. So, it's just funny how these things come out. Now, one of the things is when you get this big promotion in our business, it comes with a suit. All right. And how you know that these people are promoted is we have uniforms. And so you get to wear a different suit. So let me show you. This is my other goal poster. When I was working as a full-time electrical engineer, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I don't know if you can see this goal poster, but, I was going to travel all over the world. I was going to move up in my business. I was going to become a stay-at-home mom. Now, back then, there was no computers and image processing. So I took a roll of 24 exposure film and had someone take headshots of me. And then I had them, step one step backwards and take some headshots, then step another step backwards. So that way they would all be different sizes, right? Because there's no making them big or little, but I needed different headshots to put on this goal poster. So if you can see here, I put my headshot on all these women with a suit. Okay. And I had to have all these different headshots because I didn't know how big the head would be. And then I had 24 headshots. So I just kept cutting out my head and putting it on being a stay-at-home mom and being this and being that. And it was a goal. And I had struggled many years to try to achieve that goal. But when I did this poster, and again, I put it in my shower. So every morning I would just look at it in my shower. And guess what? It came true. It came true within 2 months of the date on that poster. So just bizarre things will start to happen. And now, let's just face it, Lisa, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to, these the goal posters, the manifesting, and all that. So basically, there's a little nodule at the base of your brain. It's called the reticular activator function, the RAF. Now, and this is actually part of our brain, and our brains will make us notice. So right now we get about 4 million pieces of information through our eyes. 4 million a second. 4 million pieces of information. But did you know that your brain can only process 40? Only process 40. So there are millions of bits of information that your eyes are receiving, that your ears are receiving, that your smell senses are receiving, that we don't process. And so how our brain speaks these to us is sometimes we get hunches, sometimes we get gut feelings, sometimes you start feeling uncomfortable or you get excited and you just don't know why, because we have all this information coming in, but we can't focus on it. So what the reticular activator function does is it actually tells the brain what to function on. When you put these images of what you want on a goal poster, you're telling the brain what you want, and it helps you find it. Our mind is a focus mechanism, and it's taught to get you what you want. So if you're going to focus on there's too many bills, the rich always get richer, the poor get poorer, and the world's a nasty place, and people take advantage of each other, and all this crazy stuff, then that's what manifests, and that's what happens. And that's part of the reason our world's so messed up, because so many people really believe with their heart. And if you go on social media with their anger and their frustration that, things are nasty, things are going south, things are going wrong. And so for me, like whenever I visualize the world, I always visualize children having food. I always visualize cooperation and collaboration and people getting along. I always visualize that people take care of each other. And I will tell you that has been my experience in life, because that's how I choose to see the world. If I become one of these like negative, complaining people that is always looking at half empty or trying to be a realist, yeah, I'm a realist. I expect a miracle every day. So we can tell our brains what to focus on. And honestly, the reality that you're watching this live stream, Lisa's on this live stream, I'm on this live stream, but everyone's reality is different. I mean, if we go back at the end of today and say, what happened on that live stream, everyone's going to have a different perspective because our brain filtered different parts of information. So what a goal poster does is it just tells your reticular activator function what to focus on and what to attract into your life. And, hey, what do you got to lose? Now you don't even have to cut and paste pictures. You just go online, Google images it, download it, and stick it on a piece of paper. So Lisa, why don't you give some of your techniques, and I'm going to show them a couple other things.
Sure. Well, I would say I've heard a couple really fun ideas. I know you mentioned putting your poster in the shower. I have a girlfriend that would laminate it and have it in her shower. I like to take a picture of it and keep it as a phone saver and have pictures of it. There are different times that I will just literally slap a piece of paper on the wall with some goals, even written down, not even necessarily my goal poster. So the thing is, you want to have it everywhere you can see it. I remember when I earned my first pink Cadillac, I took the Cadillac logo and taped it to the center of my steering wheel. And when I would get in my car every day, I would sit in my car and I would close my eyes and I would smell the leather. I would smell the leather and I would imagine that I had just stepped into my pink Cadillac. And just like Rena was talking about with the reticular activator, I started seeing Cadillacs everywhere. Every time I looked up, whoever was in the car with me, I would say, look at the car that's in front of me right now. It was a Cadillac. Everywhere I went, I was right behind the Cadillac. And so I would say that one of my techniques is not just having the goal poster, but also visualization and knowing when you close your eyes and you imagine the things on your goal poster, using your imagination, how does it feel? Like for whatever the thing is on the goal poster that you are going to achieve, you know you're going to achieve it. So what will it feel like? Who's there with you? Can you hear the sounds? Can you smell the smells? Can you be in the place with this thing on your goal poster? Because that's super important. I feel like just like when I was becoming a sweepstakes winner and just it just became absolutely 100% real that was happening. And so it's not just putting a picture or cutting out some magazines. It's also absolutely 100% investing in that dream. And I love Canva. Love me some Canva. So you can also create those pictures in Canva. You know, you can upload the headshots, you can put them on clothes, you can do the different things. I do believe, honestly, that there is, like, just like we talk about, I know this is old school, but writing down a note instead of typing it into a computer, there is actually scientific evidence of
It enters the brain in different ways.
the benefits of that. So I would say, even if you were doing or creating things in Canva, still individually printing things out or finding them in different ways through the wonderful internet, and then individually still putting them together as a collage. I really, in my heart, believe that there is something more to that than just creating a full picture and having it done. I've also seen people create little videos and put music that they will play.
Mind movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Mind movies. 100%.
Yeah. So this is how my goal posters are now. Like Lisa said, I just cut out pictures and I put them on an 8x10, and then I get 8x10 photographs printed, and I'll get 6 or 7 of them. And there's one in front of the treadmill. There's one in front of my desk. There's, so they're just kind of at different points in the house. And so, yeah, sometimes I do focus on them, and sometimes I don't even notice they're there because they've been there so long. But it's bizarro. This one, I just realized I wanted a brand new kitchen, and this is my kitchen now. So a lot of this bizarro stuff, comes true. And I wanted to take my kids on a Disney cruise, and that's happened. So, so I was just looking at that one, going, "Oh, that happened. That happened. That." I didn't even realize. But a lot of these have already happened. Now, Duke University did a study with NASA astronauts. And what they were trying to do is, the astronauts are super far in space, so over 200,000 miles away. And Duke University was trying to monitor their thoughts, the astronauts' thoughts, from 200,000 miles. And what they found out was that they were pretty good. They could predict the astronauts' emotions from 200,000 miles away. So what that means is, if you look at the planet, 200,000 miles, that in some way our brains are talking to everyone else's brains on the planet, because anyone on the planet can actually sense our emotions and our emotional states. And that's why you see kids that don't have any confidence, like me, they get picked on and bullied, because at some point you're transmitting to everyone in the school, like, I'm not going to fight back. I'm not going to speak up. I'm not going to protect myself. And I don't like myself. So the other kids just know, like, this is the kid that you need to pick on. So, the group collective knows your thoughts. So when you have a big goal, I used to put dates on them. Now I just say, I want them right now. I want them right now, because our brains can make so much stuff happen so fast that I'm like, right now I am, making $40,000 in my business every month in, month out, right now, not in the future, not in the past, so whatever it is you want, you just say right now, this is what I want. This is what I need. Don't put a bunch of conditions on it, and just believe it with your heart and see what will happen. So Lisa, after I heard her sweepstakes winner story, I would always say, I'm a lottery winner. I'm a lottery winner. Or I would just, whenever I get stressed out, I would say, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Just because that's what I needed. Anytime I have financial stress, I give charity, and then I'm like, big money's coming my way. Big money. I'm going to get big money. Oh, I better go check my bank. Big money just got deposited into my account. So whatever it is you want, you can train your brain to go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and wrap up. And Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try to do these every Saturday. This year, that was our goal, to bring you guys valuable information that we have learned as boss babes and boss moms about business, family, life, everything to make your life stronger and more beautiful. But Lisa, what are some of your parting thoughts?
I would say that recognizing how you feel right now. Use January as your starting point, not necessarily to set a New Year's resolution. Let's set an intention. And I want everybody to just take a moment and just peel the layers back. So you might have to do a little bit of a meditation. And if you've never done any kind of meditation, I am not great at it, but it doesn't matter how great you are at something, that you can't start, you can't get better, and you can't focus. So right now, I would say just determine how you're feeling right now. What's exciting to you? What is the most important thought that you have moving forward? What do you want to feel in your life? To me, it's all about feeling right now and recognizing where you're sitting. Are you sitting in sadness? Did you not have the year that you expected last year? So what do you expect this year? Because we want to inspect our expectations, right? And then use those imaginations, like Rena said, living in the goal as if it is happening. Your brain doesn't know time. So if you find it hard to say, I am, this is, you can also use the words, I'm in the process of. I'm in the process of becoming a millionaire. I'm in the process of creating wealth. I'm in the process of growing my community and my circle of friends, or whatever you can say, in the process of. But however you need to start, you need to recognize where you are today. So that's my tip. Take a minute. Take a minute, sit with yourself, and just see how you're feeling. And that's going to be your diving board, so to speak.
Totally. Well, and we appreciate you joining us today. Obviously, if you have any questions, let us know. But my goal for 2026 is to empower as many women to be six-figure stay-at-home moms, to help you all realize that whatever dream you have inside of you, you can work at corporate jobs, and you can make six figures now pretty easily at a corporate job, but there's nothing like being able to call your own shots, to have the time freedom, the emotional freedom, the legacy and the impact of having something that you created for yourself, that you can't be unemployed, that someone can't fire you from, hire you, retire you, whatever. And also to have something that you created for yourself. So especially for those of you that have kids, you show your kids that you did it. My kids have seen me successful. They've also seen me fail. They've also seen me get rejection and make phone calls, and people telling me no, and how I handle that. And that kind of stuff is pretty much priceless. I think priceless. But anyways, so what I would say is, get those images that, like Lisa said, evoke emotions, because your emotions, everyone in the world knows what your emotional state is. So if you're in that, constant state of anxiety, depression, frustration, just get out of it. Change your focus and get out of it. If you look at the political system, you're like, oh my God, this is so messed up. Okay, well, visualize the political system you want. Visualize the people that really matter and the good people being in business and making those decisions. So that's what I would say. Like, visualize what you actually want. Don't do it don't look at what is and say, I don't like it. Decide what you want and take your energy and your emotions for 2026 and focus somewhere else. Also know yourself. Some things I'm really good at, like doing goal posters, because I've already got my 2026 one on. However, some things I need help with, such as going to the gym. So when I need that motivation, I need that extra help, then I got a personal trainer. And I remember I told people, so I could have a babysitter. And they're like, oh, no, they have babysitting service at the gym for children. And I was like, no, the kids don't need a babysitter. In this area, I need a babysitter because I will work out, but I won't push myself. And so to have a personal trainer, that'll push me. And I do yoga 3 to 4 times a week. And the reason I do it is because I want my balance and I want strong ankles and strong hip bones. So, I have become disciplined, but the reason I go 4 times a week to the gym is because I have friends there. And when I don't show up, they're like, hey, you didn't come. And the same thing about this business. It was, so many women in this business, if you didn't show up, if you didn't commit, if you weren't doing well, people would ask. So you couldn't just hide in your corner like other jobs and pretend everything was great. People would actually call you out and ask how things are going. So having that sense of community and like-minded people. And if you don't have that in your life, come join us on Saturday mornings.
I was going to say, you've got us. You really need a power partner. Absolutely. That person to connect with, to also someone, it's got to be someone you trust. I mean, the universe brought Rena and I together. I mean, that's the fun, interesting thing. Like, I'm in California. You're way over there in the Washington, D.C. area. Are you physically in Virginia or?
Yeah, Virginia. So Virginia and California, coast to coast, Atlantic and Pacific.
Coast to coast. But the biggest thing is having that person that you trust, right? I've just recently been talking about this. You have to trust the person, and being able to have that power partner they're going to help you set goals. And again, like Rena was saying, our children, who is watching you? It could be children, it could be family, it could be a neighborhood. We don't even realize the people that see us. And yet I believe it's more important for them to see how we react when we don't achieve a goal, how we react when things don't go our way, just as much as seeing us with the wins. And I think that's the key part to having a power partner, because it can be a power partner in life. And we are that for you guys. And I remember even just getting a text from Rena, like, I'm calling you. I need to just go over some stuff with you, because sometimes you need to process something to get through that circle of emotion faster, right? Sometimes things hit us, and despite all of our focus and our training and the tools we put in our tool belt, we still can react. And we still, I mean, like I told Rena the other day, as strong women,
to everybody.
And we can be strong and still get sad, or still, have a disappointment or whatever. But it is how you then get up and keep going. And I love you, Rena. I'm so grateful that you're in my life. And that's it. I work from a place of gratefulness. And, when you do that, you will find the right people. And I hope we're your people.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Lisa. And I love and admire you too. And we have become fast friends, and, from coast to coast, and we've only known each other like 2 years, 3 years, maybe, and traveled together. We've done all sorts of crazy. Well, that'll be another live stream. But thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a perfect Saturday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Rise with Rena.